Hello, and welcome to Grade.com Talks With. Today, we're talking with Soraya Friedman Gonzalez, Executive Director at New Yorkers for Children, an organization that is filling in the gaps within New York City's child welfare system that government funding alone cannot support. And if you're new to our podcast, please press subscribe button either on YouTube or your podcast app, because today we're going to learn about an organization that is protecting, ensuring, and promoting the safety and well-being of New York City's children and families with a focus on youth in foster care. Hello, Saroya. Welcome to Grade.com Talks. We're excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful. Could you please describe New Yorkers for Children for someone who is not familiar with your work?
Okay. So New Yorkers for Children, we are a independent 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're located in New York City, and we serve New York City. We partner closely with the New York City Administration for Children's Services, and all of the young people and families that we serve have a connection back into the child welfare system in New York. And New Yorkers for Children was founded in 1996, and it was really set up to raise private funds to fill in the gaps where government support could not. And over our 25-year history, the organization has evolved into two main areas of work. Half of our budget is dedicated to college scholarships for older youth in foster care. And we have wide-ranging types of scholarship in terms of amounts and intensities. And then the other half of our budget is dedicated to what we call innovative programs. And this work, half of it is piloting programs on behalf of ACS or implementing projects on behalf of our city partner, Administration for Children's Services. And then the other half of our innovative programs portfolio is actually programs that New Yorkers for Children designs and creates sub-grantee relationships with the 26 foster care agencies in New York City or community-based partners. And always the goals of our innovative programs is to either bring promising practices from other jurisdictions, a type of curriculum that is particularly effective, or it may really just be to do an evaluation or research study, or to carve out an area, whether it be tutoring or race equity, and to create a sub-grant where that organization carries out the work, and New Yorkers for Children is really just tracking the data. So that's our work in a nutshell. We serve in a typical year about 1,000 youth a year.
Mm-hmm. It's great that you work closely with the city administration, as well as you filling the gaps that the government funding cannot support. And they are obviously in all systems, there are gaps, and the fact that your organization comes in place and tries to fill on these gaps, and you're focusing on education, the most important thing for youth, for them to build better future. And this can provide them helping hand, a platform where they can develop without being dependent on a system, without being dependent on a welfare. So that's very, very important. As you're working closely with the city administration, and could you please tell us in detail the extent the child welfare system is supporting the youth and the youth in foster care?
Oh, I mean, it would be hard for me to speak on behalf of the city, but I'll say that in New York City in particular, there are many, many initiatives that exist that don't in other jurisdictions. And so I think New York City in general is, compared to other areas, very resource rich and has the large social service support safety net. In New York City, there is Fair Futures, which is coaches that are help middle school up to 21 years old to have a kind of a coach to help support them navigate foster care. There's also what is called the Foster and College Success Program, where it's year-long dorm rooms in partnership with CUNY and the New York Foundling, and that's a terrific initiative. Also, as part of Fair Futures, there's tutoring for young people in middle school and high school. outside of a whole wide range of other programs. I mean, recently, New Yorkers for Children launched a program called LifeSet, which we're particularly proud of. It's a program that exists in lots of different jurisdictions around the United States. It has origins in Tennessee. It's an evidence-based program that has been effective around education and careers, and in terms of housing and other really important indicators. And it was one of the few of its kind that was evidence-based. And we brought that program over to New York City, and we've been implementing it for the last 3 years. And that's yet another program that we have and we work closely with the city on. But there's a number of, even more recently, the city is supporting, and extending the age of foster care because of the COVID pandemic. So there's a lot of, resources and support out there. Either that New Yorkers for Children brings to the table in partnership with ACS, or that ACS is offering as a public agency. And then you have really talented and a rich array of providers, 26 of them also, carrying out the work. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but only to say that I named a couple of programs, but there's a lot of others, and we're about to actually launch yet another program in over the summer that's focused on permanency for young people who are in the foster care system and have either been recently adopted or are placed into KinGap, which is a family sort of permanency option, which is a real goal of young people in foster care to have permanency. We're about to pilot that, and that's another initiative that we're about to launch, which we're really excited about.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like the city officials and the city child services work in a range of programs to improve the lives of the children, as well as children in the youth foster care. And they work closely together with organizations that are focused on building better futures for children, such as yours. And you are implementing, you mentioned evidence-based programs that actually really, really work. And you are bringing the working models from other states and implementing it. And your work can also be as a role model tool for other states or for other jurisdictions to copy and to implement in their respective regions as well. And you mentioned that you also work with 26 different organizations that are focusing on foster care and youth in foster care. Could you please describe some of the challenges that youth from foster care face and that are struggling with?
Yeah. I mean, I think as many services that are out there, I think it's important to recognize from the perspective of a young person, young adult, or a child, if they have been taken from their home, even if the circumstances were challenging, from their perspective as children, there are very few services that are going to, make things right. There's been immense trauma. And I think when you look at the challenges, that young people that they share with us, we have a youth advisory board, and we're lucky that the leadership is really strong and the members are strong, and they share with us some of the challenges. I think there are challenges in New York City in general around affordable housing and just housing in general that continues to be a challenge, particularly as young people exit foster care or leave foster care, let's say at 18 on their own. Housing and permanent housing is a challenge. It's not just a challenge for young people in foster care, it's a citywide issue, but it's more challenging for young people in foster care. I think educational outcomes are also hard. And I think there's been investments in trying to support young people in foster care and trying to make the experience like year-round dorms. But I think there are other things. I mean, I think if you've been moved around in your life in various foster care, you are going to have educational gaps. And so so that will be a challenge in providing the right support. And it's not just the educational piece, it's the emotional piece as well. And so I think there is real trauma. I think there is, feelings of anxiety, depression, everything that you would imagine that someone would experience. But I think housing, education, and then employment. I think young people who have a network around them, and it's easier to navigate job search. So one of the things that New Yorkers tries to do is to create, youth development events and provide networking opportunities so that young people can really, learn more about what career options are out there. But again, making sure that young people are not only when they get the job, but are they prepared when they're in the job to succeed, and who's providing that level of support. So those are some of the challenges I'm sure I've left out. And then COVID, the pandemic, has really wreaked havoc on anyone's lives. I think it's been disruptive, but it's particularly disruptive for people that are vulnerable already. I think it's been disproportionately affecting, individuals that just don't have on a given day stability. So
Mhm.
um, I think those are the big issues. Yeah.
Yeah, there seems to be, after the children graduate from the foster care program system, they are in one day they are put in a different life situations where their previous experience might not have prepared them well. So they don't have the support system, their net that can they fall back into. So they have to look for housing, and especially you mentioned in New York City, it's in city in general is expensive. There's struggle with education, and more importantly, their struggle with mental health, self-esteem, and self-confidence that if
Right.
that might not come to mind right away, but those are the factors that build the personality of a youth, that help them to overcome things. So if there is a organization, or if there are a group of mentors whom they can talk to and share their experiences and share the struggles that they face, the transition can be made easier for them. And the fact that your organization works on that, you provide youth development days where they come and learn about different things, different ways of life. So it's very important that they can in the face of your organization, seek mentorship, seek advisorship. So that's very, very great that your organization is doing that.
Yeah.
And we talked earlier that majority of your programs are directed to enrolling older youth in colleges. Could you please tell us how are you helping a youth to be more educated?
Okay. Um, so I think I'll start with our Nick Scholars Program, which was named after our founder, Nicholas Scapetta, who actually was the first ACS commissioner, and someone who was in foster care himself. So the program was created or named after him because of his belief that education really was a game changer in his life, given his early, formative years in foster care. And it allowed him to kind of move, and work in the private sector, work in the DA's office, eventually become commissioner of ACS and then the fire department in New York City. And so the program is based on a model. It was actually modeled after the Guardian Scholars Program at California Fullerton. And those programs actually live in the university. But the model, we adapted it from that, is an advisor meets with a young person minimum once a month, and oftentimes much more than that, but minimum one contact a month. They get a stipend to cover living expenses. And this is outside of the public support that they get for tuition and other incidentals. So we provide a very generous monthly stipend. And then they have this one-on-one relationship, face-to-face meetings, where the coach works with the young person to really address any challenges while they're in school. They apply into the program. We do look for students that have a minimum GPA to succeed, but they're with us for up to 5 years. Once we accept a young person into the program, if they're a freshman, we're committed to support them over 5 years. So we take the entire pot of money of what it costs a student to do 5 years, and we put it aside for them so that there's no issues of running out of money. And it allows young people to kind of relax a little bit. So they have emotional support. Now they have financial support to help offset the expenses. We provide them book money. We provide tutoring money. We pay for winter session, summer session, which the public dollars don't. Then we also tap into our back to school program, and we provide young people with a computer and once a semester an Amazon gift card to buy gifts. And they enter through that program, let's say, and we invite them to be part of our youth advisory board, which is a network of peers. Now they have community around them, often of like-minded young people who are in foster care and also attending college. And then, we also offer emergency grants, which we've been doing for over a decade. We understand that young people in foster care may have an experience that is financially burdensome, and they have to make a choice. Do I stay in school or do I drop out? And we, if we know, and the young person makes the case that this unexpected circumstance happened, I have this big bill, we'll pay that bill. So we've created lots of different programs around that program to really support the young person. They have access to all of our staff, and they're, again, they're invited to youth development events. Many of our NIC scholars go on to be peer mentors, and we certify them to do that. We, outside of that particular program, we also offer a program, a couple of scholarships of just where you're not necessarily required to meet with the academic advisor, but like a junior and senior might get as much as $10,000 used for education in any way that they want. We have our back to school program, which is a signature program, which I alluded to. We serve about 600 young people a year attending college anywhere in the United States. And we give them a brand new laptop, and up to 5 years, they can continue to get textbook gift money, and they get a letter from us every semester. Some of the programs are lighter touch, but they have enormous meaning to young people. And it also allows us to stay connected and offer other services as they come available. We have another program around college debt. We partner with First Republic on that one. And they provide financial coaching once a semester, and we give each young person up to $5,000 to alleviate their college debt. Every year we take on 5 new. So our programs are wide ranging in various intensities, but our NIC Scholars program is the one that's the most intensive, and we serve about 25 young people a year in that program.
Mm-hmm. Wow, as described by you, indeed, your programs provide variety, the range of help throughout the journey of college that can be up to 5 years for youth to go through. So both financial support, emotional support, and also being a part of the community of like-minded people, as earlier mentioned by you, where they can discuss their ideas, and when they graduate, they can become mentors themselves and can help other mentees, other youth go through the process and become better versions and better be equipped for the future. So it's very, very essential. And overall, your programs each year, they help more than 1,000 youth in New York City. So that's such a huge impact in if taking into the consideration. We talked more about several of your programs, and there is a distinction between your programs being signature programs and innovative programs. Could you please tell us what's the distinction between them, and what do your innovative programs focus on?
Okay. I mean, we call any program that is direct serving, meaning that we are connecting with the young people directly, a signature program. It's also a signature program if it's board designated and we sort of designed the program. All of our signature scholarship programs, we didn't adopt a model, bring it to New York. It's more a program that we sort of looked at the need, raised the money, created the elements of the program, either with a partner or on our own, and we're committed to funding year over year. As long as there is a need, we will continue to provide that service. And so those are really our signature programs. They're direct service. oriented. They're typically focused on older youth in foster care. We've designed them. The board has designated them signature, and they, support an unmet need in the system. Our innovative programs, it really, it's a way to kind of encompass both the work that we do on behalf of our partner ACS. We have, a number of grants that ACS sort of says, this is work that we need to do and look at. We don't have government support yet for it, but it's important for us to carry out the work and so it's ACS identified, and it's also ACS has a big sort of voice in sort of who we work with on those projects. And really our role is to help support them to get the private money to carry out whatever their intention is at the time. And the projects and programs are really wide ranging. They could be evaluation, they could be a particular curriculum, it could be a pilot that they're testing. And those are, half of our innovative programs. And we call them innovative because they're not programs that are just ongoing, that are already baselined in a budget and part of what they do. They're typically programs where we're not going to use public dollars. We're going to find private dollars and see, does this work? Should we invest in it? And that's half of that. Similarly, because of our work with serving young people directly, there are programs that New Yorkers for Children and our board feel we want to contribute to. We have expertise. Let's also carry out a handful of programs where maybe staff at New Yorkers for Children is driving or managing the grant. Also, most of the funding is privately raised through foundations and individual donors. And they really serve a lot of the same purpose to kind of test projects, pilots, curriculums, evaluation, and see what is this, what can we learn from this program? And should we, at the end, when the findings are done, is this something that ACS or another public agency may want to take on and baseline as part of their budget? So that's sort of the role of our innovative. We try to keep that not defined, but within the scope of youth and family and child welfare in New York City. It could be early childhood. It's very wide ranging in terms of what we would do.
Mm-hmm. What I really liked on your answer, on the descriptions that you provided, is that you have your main projects that you work consistently each and every year. Yet there is a pool of talent that you have within your staff, within your cooperation with the city officials, and you test different projects to make sure that the work and progress in child welfare system in New York City goes on. So you try to constantly to find ways to improve the child welfare system and the quality of life for youth from foster care. So that's very, very important to understand that there is always room for improvement, and the fact that you have talent and expertise and you are working on that is very, very wonderful. If someone would like to support New Yorkers for Children, how can they do that?
They can visit our website. There's a donate button, www.newyorkersforchildren.org, and it's spelled out. I don't know if you're able to put it, but it's newyorkersforchildren.org. And they can visit our website, and there's a donate button, or our mailing address is also on our website.
Mm-hmm. So the link to the New Yorkers for Children website will be provided in the description. So you viewing or listening can go to the website and familiarize yourself with the work Saroya and the team at NYC are doing, and make a financial contribution if you wish to. Thank you so much, Saroya. It was wonderful to get to know you and the great work New Yorkers for Children is doing.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Wonderful. For you listening, if you enjoyed this conversation, please press like and share button, because this will show the YouTube algorithm that this conversation is important, that we need to protect, ensure, and promote the safety and well-being of youth and families. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.